Ray Bradbury's Something Wicked This Way Comes, released in 1962, is one of those rare books that feels less like a novel and more like a fever dream you can't quite shake off. It's a tale of two boys, Will Halloway and Jim Nightshade, who are caught in the orbit of a sinister carnival that rolls into their sleepy Illinois town under the cover of darkness. Led by the enigmatic Mr. Dark, this carnival troupe promises to grant your deepest desires, but at a heavy price. Your soul, your freedom, your very sense of self. It's a story of innocence colliding with malevolence, of time's relentless march, and of the seductive pull of fear dressed up as salvation. Bradbury, with his poet's heart and conjurer's flair, spins a yarn that's equal parts Halloween spook show and philosophical meditation. I first read it as a child, half expecting the shadows in my room to start whispering. Back then, it was a thrilling escape, a gothic lark, but revisiting it now, in the grey drizzle of today, with England stumbling through its latest chapter of political pantomime, the book feels less like a relic of mid-century Americana and more like a cracked mirror held up to our own country in the here and now. The themes Bradbury wove, fear as a leash, paranoia as a currency, and the subtle art of mind control seem to have escaped the pages and taken up residence in Westminster Whitehall and the flickering screens that dominate our lives. Take the past few years, where the pandemic looms large in the memory, like a bad dream scored by ventilator beeps. That was the golden age of fear-mongering, a masterclass in psychological sleight of hand that would have left Mr. Dark nodding in approval. We were bombarded with daily briefings, each one a grim warning, graphs spiking like the jagged teeth of a horror film monster, death tolls recited with the solemnity of a requiem, and warnings that stepping outside was tantamount to signing your own death warrant, or worse, grannies. The slogans, stay home, protect the NHS, save lives, were drummed into us with the relentlessness of a propaganda jingle, while images of overflowing hospitals and hazmat-suited medics flickered across our screens, a psyop so slick it could have been scripted by Hitchcock. Behavioural scientists admitted later to cranking up the dread, making us feel personally responsible for every cough, every unmasked breath. Masks became objects of power, lockdowns a punishment, and the unvaccinated were cast as carnival freaks, shunned and vilified. It was a carousel of control, spinning us through cycles of panic and compliance, with our leaders as ringmasters promising safety if we just keep riding their carousel. And ride we did, because who doesn't want to feel safe, or young, or at least not quite so powerless in the face of an invisible enemy they'd convinced us was everywhere. The parallel isn't exact. Bradbury's carousel was a literal machine with gears and axles, while ours is a psychological one. But the effect is the same. Fear turns the gears. Paranoia oils the axles. And before you know it, you're not sure whether you're 13 or 100, only that you're dizzy and grateful someone's in charge. Then there's the mirror maze, another of Bradbury's devilish inventions. Step inside and you're confronted with endless reflections of yourself, distorted, fractured, inescapable. It's a trap for the vain and the vulnerable, a place where you lose yourself in your own image. In the book, it's Miss Foley, the boy's school teacher, who falls prey, her longing for youth reflected back until she's a gibbering wreck. Today, Britain's version of the maze isn't made of glass but of data, algorithms, and the omnipresent hum of surveillance. Our leaders, abetted by tech overlords who'd make Mr. Dark blush, have turned paranoia into a national pastime. CCTV cameras blink from every corner, tracking your Tesco run as if you're planning a bank robbery. Social media, that great leveller of discourse, is less a town square and more a prison, where every post, every comment is scrutinised for signs of dissent. The government's latest wheeze, some vague online safety edict, promises to protect us from misinformation, but it's hard not to see the glint of Mr. Dark's grin behind the rhetoric. Who decides what's true? Why, the government do, of course. And if you step out of line, say by questioning the official line on, anything from vaccines to boat migrants, you're not just wrong, you're a threat. The mirrors then multiply. You are now a conspiracy nut, a troublemaker, a pariah, and if you keep staring, you'll start to believe it. This isn't mere scaremongering. Look at the headlines. Citizens reporting neighbours for suspicious behaviour. Councils fining you for bins out of alignment. Police knocking on doors over a tweet that hurts someone's feelings. Paranoia's no longer a personal quirk, it's policy. And like Miss Foley, the school teacher trapped in the maze of mirrors, we're too busy peering at our warped reflections to notice who's holding the frame. And now we come to the character of the Dust Witch and her art of mind control. Mind control sounds dramatic, visions of Manchurian candidates and tinfoil hats. But Bradbury knew it's subtler than that. It's suggestion, repetition, the slow drip of fear until you're begging for the cure. Our leaders have mastered this, and nowhere is their craft more wickedly apparent than in the crusade for climate change and the breakneck dash toward net zero, a goal so fetishized it's become a secular religion. The airwaves hum with apocalyptic forecasts, describing melting ice caps, drowned cities, a planet gasping its last unless we repent our carbon sins. The message is relentless. Act now and pay more taxes, or the earth dies. And it's laced with a venomous twist. The working class of England are cast as the villains. The builder, the lorry driver, the factory worker, their dirt-dusted hands and diesel-stained overalls are branded as the devil's tools, their very livelihoods demonized as crimes against the future. Policies pile on like stones on a witch's pyre. Fuel taxes that choke the family budget, heat pump mandates no ordinary person can afford to install, and ULEZ zones that turn a trip to the supermarket into a luxury. It's evil, this, not just in its cynicism, but in its glee. The elite sip their organic lattes in Islington, smugly insulated from the costs while the working man is flogged with guilt and poverty. And then, told his existence is the problem. But it's the climate stick that beats hardest, a slow, sinister whisper that turns honest labour into a mark of shame until the masses beg for absolution from their torturers. The Dust Witch didn't need eyes to see. She felt your fear. Our modern equivalents don't need magic. They've got focus groups and metadata. They know what keeps us awake at night and they lean on it. The result, a populace so jittery, so primed for the next scare, that will cheer for our own shackles if they're painted as protection. However, Bradbury doesn't leave us in the gloom. The boys defeat Mr. Dark not with weapons but with laughter. Will's father, Charles Halloway, literally giggles, the carnival to death. It's a touch whimsical, sure, but there's wisdom in it. Fear thrives in silence, in solemnity. It shrivels under joy. So where's our laughter in 2025 England? Hard to find, I'll grant you. The comedians are too busy self-censoring and the people are crying due to the cost of living. The national mood's about as cheery as a wet bank holiday in Skegness. Yet there's hope. Every time someone mocks a politician's platitude, every time a meme punctures the pomposity of power, we're then striking a blow. It's not enough to topple the carnival, Mr. Dark's too entrenched for that, but it's a start. Bradbury's lesson is that the mind control, the paranoia, the fear, they're only as strong as we let them be. Laugh, and the mirrors crack. Sing, and the carousel slows. Maybe, just maybe, we can step off this ride and walk away. So here we are in an England that's swapped Greentown's cornfields for concrete estates, its autumn chill for a perpetual damp. Something wicked this way comes. Isn't just a story anymore. It's a diagnosis. Our leaders have borrowed Mr. Dark's playbook, and we're the townsfolk clutching our tickets, half enchanted, half afraid.